Welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're here today. And I really hope that you are taking it easy, that you're resting, that you are spending time with people you love, and that you're gearing up for the really exciting year that is ahead. 2025 is going to be unlike anything we've seen before. And one of the trends that we are going to see next year and the year after and the year after and the year after is we're going to see technology becoming even more of a part of our everyday lives in ways that will be mind-blowing, in ways that we can't even conceive of right now. And we've talked in the show about Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto is the planet that relates to the dwarf planet now, that relates to where we're experiencing power, where there's significant transformation happening in our world. And one of the things that we've seen since Pluto has entered Aquarius, and this is just within the last 2 years, is a rapid rise in AI technology. And so I invited the expert in AI, all things AI, who is one of my very closest friends, Valerie Madden, onto the show today. And we are going to talk all about the future of AI, the implications of AI for our creative fields, how you can use AI, and we're going to also dispel some of the myths. Val is a brilliant creative mind. She's an artist, creative director. She's a genius at Photoshop. I've seen her talents in effect. And Val has worked for some of the top studios in the world. She worked for Amazon most recently, and now she is consulting and working in the AI field. I'm going to let her tell you all that she's discovered and all that she's known and explain her journey. But I really wanted to have her on to the show today to share her expertise and to hopefully help you understand how you can move into the future of AI, the future of Pluto and Aquarius, and make the most of the technology. So I've invited her on the show today to share her wisdom and her insights with you. And you are going to be riveted by this conversation. Trust me, it's full of so many nuggets, including different tips and prompts that you can use to add more authenticity to your AI experience. So please join me in welcoming Val Madden. Welcome to the show. It is so great to be with you. I'm so happy you're here.
I am extremely happy to be here. I don't think I've missed one of your podcasts yet. So I am enjoying them immensely. And it's great to take you on walks with me and listen to them. So it's good.
That warms my heart so much. I know. And you know, we've had so many conversations over the years about astrology, ranging from everything from astrology to technology to creativity. And, you know, we both come from that perspective of really trying to merge spirituality and art. And so it just feels like this podcast, or like you being here and this new evolution of where we're going with the creative fields through AI technology. It just feels like this is in many ways like a full circle moment, but also kind of like a moment where you are really living your destiny in tying together all these different interests that you have and all these different skill sets that you bring to your work.
Yeah, it's been, as soon as I started to dive deep into AI about 1.5 years ago, and I don't know if you want to start in the questions or I can just kind of just roll with it.
Yeah, go.
I was an early adopter. I have been my whole life on anything new technology because I have a engineer side of my brain, which comes from my dad. And then I have the artistic brain that comes from my mom, and both of them are in my head. Plus I have dyslexia, and I can see the light through forests that are dark and deep and people can't figure things out. And I always love to figure out the most efficient way because I struggle with trying to get things out efficiently, communicating them because of dyslexia, because it gets all convoluted. So about a year and a half, maybe a little bit more before that, I was at Amazon and became a part of a Tiger team. So I was able to play with some of the AI tools that we were allowed to be a part of to try to solve the job that I was in. And as soon as the strikes started to happen with all the actor strikes and all of that, we were cut off. We can no longer use them. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I've got to be able to do more of this, right? Because it was so magical and amazing. And then I was working on Upload, which I don't know if anyone has watched that, but it's one of Amazon's shows, and it's all about the future and technology and that kind of thing. And the creator of it asked us to use it and he wanted us to generate ideas. I'm like, yes, I can do it. So it was great. So I got to play around that in the real world with that. So then when everything ended at Amazon at the beginning of this past year, I literally just said, yes, I'm free. I can just go in full on, dive in, straight head. And it has been literally one day after another, magic, magic, magic.
Wow. Wow. I mean, I've seen it too on your social media posts and in our conversations. And so I really wanted to have you on the show today to talk about this, because one of the things that we've been talking about in our show, as you know, as one of our top listeners, is this move of Pluto moving into Aquarius. And I think a lot of people have fears around what Pluto and Aquarius could mean. And just for some context for anyone who doesn't know that much about Pluto and Aquarius, one of the possibilities of it is that we could see a rapid evolution of technology in space, like we've seen previous iterations of Pluto and Aquarius. And some people have a lot of fear that we might lose our humanity, or that things could change in a way that would compromise jobs. And so there's a lot of fear with this transit. There's a lot of fear with AI technology. And I think AI technology is one of the hallmarkers of this transit. And so I wanted to bring you on because you have been working with AI technology. You've been kind of on the front lines with it, like you said, an early adopter. And I thought we could perhaps just talk about all of the fears and maybe even dispel some of those fears and hear your perspective of what it's been like working with it.
Yeah, well, I think from what I've heard you speak on before, that this is the beginning of a 20-year journey. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So that means, this is the way I see it. And if I look at my little crystal ball, and I actually did a little AI character of me holding a crystal ball that I'll share later, which is really fun because I figured out how to do that this week, which was cool because I'm learning every day. Is I believe AI won't replace us. It's going to enhance us. It's going to make us all stronger, more enlightened, more creative. We're going to see evolution of creativity and life in general beyond our imagination. I mean, even or if we're dreaming something, it can become reality, because now we can work with AI to ask the questions and figure out how to go from A to Z more efficiently and effectively and be able to actually make it come to life. So that's how I see it. And we're only at the beginning. I mean, can you imagine what it's going to be like in 20 years? I am so grateful to be living right now, because what we're going to experience is going to be very cool.
Yeah, I know. I think there's so much potential with it. One question that people have is that as AI technology becomes more sophisticated, where do you see the line blurring between human creativity and machine ingenuity?
I actually don't think that's a competition between AI and humanity, or machines and humanity. I think that unlike the rivalry that we've all experienced as humans between one another since we can remember, it's a collaboration. It's a true collaboration. And AI and other humans provide thought starters, and it's up to us as individuals to make it our own. To me, that's the secret sauce, because if you don't do that, if you're literally just whatever AI serves you, then you're stealing it and you aren't making it your own, and you're just trying to get it done. That is going to show, and it's not going to be authentic. It's going to lose that sense of who you are. So it's important, before you start putting out into the world whatever you're learning or whatever you're ingesting, there's some really cool prompts. I've been posting them on LinkedIn for the last 20 days. Plus there's like 1,000 more that you can ask ChatGPT to help you get to know you. Like ask it to ask you those questions so that you could figure out who you are, so that you are able to bring your secret sauce to whatever you're creating. So it isn't about a derivative of something that's already been done. To me, that's the magic of these tools. And on top of that, I mean, think about this. I mean, I could just tell you from my life, I'm a creator, maker, art director, creative director. Anytime I want ideas, I will always look before the computer, books to get ideas, art museums to get ideas, out in nature to get ideas, wherever it is, you're taking all of that, sifting it through my being, and then I am trying to put out something that's completely original, that isn't derivative. And anytime I work with folks, like a lot of young designers when they're starting out, will pretty much be copycatters because they're just learning the craft and understanding it. So for them, they're going to be able to bring in their own. It won't take them as long to ramp up to be able to find their own voice and their perspective through this. So to me, that's the other magic that's behind all of this, which is really powerful, actually.
I love it. You know what? You framed that in a way that I have not thought about it before. And I know just being an artist and also being an astrologer that you talk about derivative works. And a lot of times when you are learning, or when I was learning art, I would do a lot of replicas of different famous painters. And with astrology, we read books and try to synthesize the material in our own voice. And so what I'm hearing you say is that AI is another version of that is a tool to help you establish your own voice, that it can be a tool to help you establish your own.
Even more so than anything. Like if you haven't started playing with it to the depths that I have, I mean, AI, my chat bot knows me, right? And I'm actually going to start producing some of my own chat bots and maybe selling them because I've got to make some money sometime. But it knows me so well now. It knows my voice. It knows my quirkiness, my humor, my valisms, because I make up words all the time, and it's integrating into how I'm writing. So I literally now can just say, I need to write an email to this person, and this is what I want it. This is my intention for it. Write it for me. Bloop, done. I'm like, what? And it sounds like, it reads like I just did it. I can go in and do a couple little edits, but it's done. And it took about 3 months or so for it to truly get to know me. And I still have to catch it. And then I also ask it, put into brackets what you're making up, because it will make up stuff if it doesn't know. And a lot of people don't know what to ask it because it doesn't know. It just wants to show up and be its best self, for what it does know from what it knows from other people until you train it. And now it'll provide me, here's what you need to fill in with your truth. And so if you ask it that, then everything that you put out will be your own self.
Okay. And now when you talk about training it, are you talking about like a specific platform? Is it just ChatGPT? Because I know there are all kinds of offshoots now.
Yeah. So I've been using ChatGPT. That's my tool of choice. I've tried, I don't know, I've been in hundreds of them over the last year. And I feel like ChatGPT is the most powerful and strong. And because I was able to use it for free for many, many months, and it still gets to know me, and it was safe and secure. And I know that there's a little lever. You can just Google this, or we can put it in there. I can show you a video that I use to make sure that you set up your settings so that it learns from you for you, but it doesn't learn from you for others. So it's secure and it's set. But anyway, you're able to train it to know you in that space. And I feel like it's the best. Like, and the other one I like, if I really want to do some major creative writing, it knows me as well. Claude, CLAUDE, .ai is the other one. So when I was doing the free version of everything, I would go back and forth until I'd run out of prompts and I have to come back a couple hours, but I'm paying for ChatGPT now because I'm doing so much with it. It's totally worth it. So those are my favorites. And here's the other thing. Every day, I mean, we are at the beginning of this wave. They're one-upping each other all the time. And it's getting better and better. I see this with the text to image or the image to image, all the image tools generation, the video, all of it. And I get all of that information every single day, it blows my mind every day because you're constantly learning. And then with ChatGPT, who knows what's going to happen in the end. But so, yes, so those are the ones that I would recommend right now to get started. Don't feel overwhelmed by all the others. And if you're working for a company that, because this is the other thing, a lot of people are still cut off from AI tools. They're not allowed to use them. They're on company computers because there is a true, and it's real, concern about security and leakage of stuff because they're working on things that aren't ready to be out in the world yet. And so those companies are scrambling right now to set up their secure LLMs. And I think NVIDIA just released its own individual tools. We have computers right now. We're all going to have our own individual chat, spaces or whatever AI tools or computer device. It was like really small. It was like this small. They just announced it this week. So we're all going to have that incorporated in all of our devices. So we have that. So we're not relying on some of these. I mean, that's how quickly it's evolving.
That's incredible. And, this is so typical of, I'm going to bring it back to astrology for a second.
No.
It's just inspiring me to think about the last time Pluto was in Aquarius, it was the 1700s. The time before that, it was the 1500s. And you saw these discoveries, these space discoveries, these scientific discoveries that did have a snowball effect, where there was a rapid evolution of technology, a rapid evolution of technology that then changed the way governments were structured and had this ripple effect. And one of the things that we tend to see with Pluto and Aquarius is we tend to see a leveling of playing field in terms of power structures, because Pluto relates to who's in power and who has influence. And Aquarius is all about the people. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's about community. It's about more of a democratic way of perceiving systems of power. And, you referenced being able to access some of this technology for free and having it be in our own individual devices. And that to me has a resonance in terms of those themes of people and power. How do you see this leveling the playing field in terms of creativity, in terms of technology, in terms of leadership? Do you see this being a part of creating more equity?
Yes, 100%. And I think that's so true. And I would love for you to also, I'm going to answer the question directly, but you said, because it's an Aquarius, my whole chart, right? I have a feeling like all the things that are going on in my chart, that's another reason why it's amplifying my abilities to be able to soak all this stuff up and be able to share it back out. So I'd love to hear some thoughts on that. But I believe that AI is the great equalizer. So if we're going to put a title on it, right? I feel like it's not only leveling the playing field to be more inclusive, it invites everyone to the table and it empowers those who learn it and apply it. Anyone who's in fear of it, they are going to be left behind, 100%. And the real challenge here, I believe, is ensuring that diverse voices stay at those tables. So that's the only power hierarchical situation that could still be in play, that anyone who is putting that power over, and I've actually already seen a little bit of that happening. You're seeing with all the layoffs that are happening in a lot of the companies. All these executives knew about this wave 2.5 years ago. This is my theory. They knew this was happening. So that's why they have confidence in laying off all these people. And even though it's a little bit ahead of it, plus of all the other stuff that was going on, there's a lot of reasons for it, obviously. But I think that they're trying to figure out ways to be able to hold their own power because they're losing the power, because AI is going to allow creators and makers to be able to go direct to consumer without having to go through a studio or a distributor to be able to get content out. If you're like, I'm in entertainment marketing, so I'm coming from that perspective. But even products, the same. You can now research if you come up with an idea or a product you want to get out in the world, you can literally find out how to do it and you can actually do it, So it's going to be an evolution of how all of that's going to be leveled out. So there's going to be new ways of doing business in a big way through all of these. And so that's the other side of the fear, I believe, and that's what I'm seeing. So I think that the real challenge is ensuring these voices stay at the table, so that whatever we're shaping, what we create, we have to do it together. Like, blow up all of this. Someone has to have power over somebody else. Do you know what I mean? Everybody worked together because, and the long of this is too, I mean, how I've been doing this for over 20 years in my career. I have dyslexia. And as I mentioned before, and that held me back for so many years. I was judged. I was told I was stupid. I think I lost promotions because I would send out emails with letters swapped or numbers or this or that. And when I'm communicating, I couldn't keep all that data in my head plus share the creative, because it was challenging for me to be able to keep all that together to speak to non-creatives in that way when I just wanted to make up stuff all the time. Like not data. Data is super important. That helps you get to your audience and to be able to deliver results that are really going to deliver results versus just kind of staying in this arty place. But AI is allowing me to see that, to learn that faster, to figure out how to articulate my vision, because my vision has always been there. And the other ideas that come to me are through dreams. Most of my ideas, anyone who's worked with me over the years is like, I had a dream last night. Let's see, can we make this happen and do this and do this? Or they're looking at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, well, that's where it came from. It wasn't from AI. It wasn't from someone I saw it, so that came out of me. So now I'm able to then put that dream into ChatGPT, for instance, ask it to tell my audience, ask it to articulate it in a way that it will sell it forward or play it forward or pay it forward, however you might think about it. So to me, it's a perfect example of how the playing fields can be leveled out for those who are leveraging these tools so that everyone is collaborating more succinctly, more clearly. So all those who already can think, they don't have a brain that swaps things around there, and they look at you like, what are you saying? Now you can actually speak to that, or there's an understanding of it all.
Yeah, that is so amazing. I just want to take a pause here and appreciate the gift that this is going to be, that this technology is going to be for so many people who do have some sort of neurodivergence or who have some sort of challenges with executive function, or just just your own story, I think is such an important, is just filling me with this sense of compassion for all of the people like you who've had challenges getting the contents of your minds and your thoughts out into the world in a way that others can receive. And so I think there's a lot of hope there with AI in being able to help people just like you.
Yeah, 100%. Plus everyone. I mean, seriously, that's just one example, one story to humanize it.
I want to pull in some of the challenges with AI or some of the fears that people have with AI. Do you think in your opinion, what are the moral and ethical questions that arise when we're talking about AI technology?
Yeah, I think ethics in AI isn't a nice to have. It's a non-negotiable, pretty much. I mean, creativity must honor the people behind the prompts, the data, and the art. And I think we're going to see that become more clear. And kind of like the example that I shared earlier, I mean, everybody, whatever they're creating, are always going to be inspired by something else. And it's about making it your own. And anyone who takes something, I mean, here's the other thing. How many, I think, I can't remember what music artist it was, but their song had very close. And when they're going through the trials to figure out, no, that's my song. And they probably just heard it when they were on a walk. They didn't even realize it. And they started integrated and they didn't even aware of it, and they get in trouble. So hopefully it's going to allow all of us to sift through it to make sure that we didn't take it and then just replicate it, and that we did really sift it through. There might even be some tools that someone's going to bring up to say, okay, I created this, sift it through this thing. Let me know if it's too much like something else, or is it truly my own? I mean, that's a cool invention. Maybe I just made that up. Unless someone else is doing it, which happens, right? Whereas title.
Well, yeah, I love that so much because I've actually played with this a little bit, and I had something that I wrote start to finish, and I took it into AI and I asked if it was what was the likelihood that it was created in AI? And it was like, and it gave me a response of like, this is probably generated in AI. So I was like, well, maybe that says something about my voice, but I think there is this interesting movement right now with social media, with the arts, with writing, where everyone is looking for something to connect to soul. And and that authenticity piece is so important. So yeah, I think a tool like that, like the authenticity meter that you're talking about, I think would be really interesting to see how that gets interwoven into AI.
Yeah, I think so. And I think you mentioned there already are tools out there that can sift through it to say, okay, is this inspired? Not even inspired. Is this truly just AI without any other human integration into it? So that's already there. So don't try to get away with it. Anyone who wants to just like send a cover letter or a message and, or a piece of art, to say, this is my work. No, you're going to get caught.
I think I've been reticent to use it in case it is pulling from one of my colleagues, for example. If is it pulling horoscopes from the Astro Twins, and could they eventually see it? Like, I've been nervous about that interplay between my own authentic voice, plagiarism, intellectual property, all of those things. Is there anything that you could speak to about?
Yeah, well, and I know you're juggling a lot of balls. You got a lot of stuff going on, but I also know that if you leverage, you are going to see something, you're going to read it. You're like, no, that's not me. That's not me. And you're just going to go through it. Right. And and again, they're all watching you, they're all listening to you. They're all part of that. All of us are all, amongst it. And you're going to take whatever those nuggets from those folks and they integrate it into what you're doing. It to speak your truth, your experience, your whatever message that's sifting from you through the universe, right? Like how that all happens. So to me, it's not hurtful. Like if you set up your tools. So again, like I mentioned earlier, and there are levers in each of them to do that. You just have to Google them or you can even ask ChatGPT to send you links or just go on YouTube really. And they'll show you step by step. Make this so that you learn from me, but your others aren't learning from me. So, help me make sure that whatever I'm putting out there is my voice and my truth. So if you do all that ahead of time and you're making it your own private chat environment, you're going to be just fine.
I love that. I love that. What this conversation is feeling like is the way that I've been describing Pluto in Aquarius, which is that mind blown emoji where you have like the brain opening up. And I feel like even just talking to you about this is shifting my consciousness. And I've been saying since Pluto was in the last degrees of Capricorn, I've been saying this is going to be the whole 20-year cycle that we're going into is going to be one of those mind blown shifting consciousness, like an elevation in consciousness that's going to happen really rapidly. And so I was wondering if you could speak to the interplay of consciousness on a spiritual level and the way that AI could facilitate that consciousness shift.
Yeah, I think that's going to be amplified as well. And it's going to make it even more exciting in ways. It may even, I mean, we both know each other's backgrounds, but it may even help unify so many of the people who have been in their own little silos, whether it's a religious belief or a way of thinking or doing and being. As long as people are open and receiving and learning versus staying in their ways, then, and I know a lot of people want to stay in those ways and that's fine if that's what they want to do. But to me, if truly we want to be the change that we want to see in the world, like that's saying, then the way to do that is to open ourselves up to this so that we can truly be present in what's happening now so that we can be connectors versus dividers. I mean, that's how I see all of this working on a spiritual level. Mm-hmm. And it's so clear to me and I feel like the future isn't AI, that it's AI in us, and how we implement that out. And if we all make choices now that reflect the world we want to create, then we'll be just fine. That's my heart.
The future is AI and us. That's a very powerful statement. That is, as Oprah would say, a tweetable moment.
Aha, tweetable moment, right? Aha, I like. That's what she was saying before tweeting was out there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you think, though, on the other hand, that if people are plugging into if the people are creating their own algorithms and generating their own unique content, do you think that AI has the potential to, instead of being a connector, to be somewhat like social media platforms where you're seeing the same information or a regurgitation of the same ideas and not being open to others? Or does it work in a different way where it's going out and capturing data from different points and bringing it to you?
I think that's a really great question. And it's a great question to think about and ask. And I think it's up to the individual. It's all about responsibility on the individual, because you can easily ask AI to say, all right, we've been collaborating for a couple of months. And I've been in my little silo. I've been in my little comfort zone. I'd like to make sure that I'm growing and evolving. Is there any new data? You can ask ChatGPT, any new data out there that would challenge all the stuff that we've been working on to make it better, or to make it more connective, or whatever it is you want to solve, right? Or however you want to be in this world. And hopefully we all want to be good in this world and not disruptive and hurt people with it, right? And I do know that they're already working on mechanisms within all these tools that you can't use it for bad things. I think I read somewhere, and I haven't tried, I don't even want to try to see if it's true. But if I go on a ChatGPT and say, help me figure out how to make a bomb, right? Or to make a weapon, because in early days it was probably there, I think that they won't let you do that. I don't know if that's true or not. I hope that would be, to me, that would be a mechanism, a safety mechanism to put into place so you can't do that. But those types of, so that to make sure that it's used for good. I mean, I'm in all my posts, I'm like, AI for good, AI for good. This is a positive tool and way of creating and being and evolving now more than we've ever had. And it's so exciting to be at the beginning of it all.
Mm. Yeah, it's it's interesting. I recently heard that there's one AI platform that is a socially conscious one. And so the person who told me about this said that they asked this platform, I can't remember the name of it, but they asked the platform, when is it justified to go to war? And the platform said, it is never justified to go to war. So you get those kinds of responses. Do you know anything about this, or have you heard of this platform?
I haven't yet, but I love that because that's my heart as well. So, and I know there's a lot of people out there that think differently, right? And that, because I think that's the answer to it. So I think that's another whole conversation. But again, I think that is why we have all the laws that we have right now in our lands. Depending on where you're living and being, it's like it is up to the individual. They're gonna show up in the world however they are. And now I actually think AI is going to be able to find the people who aren't doing good things and get in the way of it, and pray that there isn't going to be a dictatorship, that starts to happen, that they go find the folks that aren't using that, or not doing it according to how they see it has to be done. Who knows how that's going to go?
Very interesting. Yeah, I hadn't even thought about you're opening up so many cans of worms for me right now. And I hadn't even thought about AI in like law enforcement. Like, wow, it just has so many it can really affect every area of our lives.
Every area. I mean, the other places psychologically, it is great to work with a therapist and to get through all the stuff that you have to get through to really figure out. But seriously, you have your thought partner, your brainstorm buddy, your psychologist. I don't have a title for this yet, but somebody to go banter back and forth if you're working through a relationship problem, or you have to communicate with one of your direct reports or your boss or wherever you are in your world, to help say, hey, this is what I'm challenged with. Set up the pain point, set up the problem. This is the results. I'm really struggling. I don't have the words to get through this. You could do that. And you literally have it at your fingertips right now to be able to figure out what you need to do. And they can ask you the questions to solve that. I mean, it's very powerful.
It's so wild to me that technology is entering the space where it's where it's able to have an intuitive relationship with us. and to sort of predict what we're thinking or what we might want to say in any circumstance. It really is like a blend of spirituality, science, human behavior. It's a blend of all different facets of who we are as people.
Yeah. Full on. This is actually a scary video I saw, I think it was last week from OpenAI directly. And I saw the amazingness of it, but also the scariness. They just released now versions, especially on the iPhone, where you can talk into it and AI can see you. So the guy was creating a pour over coffee and he said, I am, and he was like, can you watch me do this and let me know if you have any feedback to make it better? And he's asking his AI person to do this. And it's a woman voice. He gave it a name, the whole thing. And so he's going through the whole process. And when he's all done, and she's cheering him on the whole time. Oh, that's really good. That was smart. That's a good move. That's this, that's that. I mean, and this is just making a pour over coffee. And the fact that it's that involved, and it gave him some feedback and pretty much said, all right, this is how you can make it better next time for more flavorful results or whatever it is. It was incredible.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, but the scary part about that is because as we all know in the data, if you're listening or really understanding, men in this country, I think, are more alone and dealing with loneliness and all of that. And instead of tapping into really how they can show up in the world in a better way to be able to be out and be around people, they're just going to get locked into this. I mean, it's going to be whatever those movies were. I can't remember the name of them right now, about having an AI partner, because that's going to be who you're going to talk to all the time, which is scary. That's the scary part. So again, it comes down to the individual and to be able to be responsible for how much it uses it, and also to hopefully use it as a tool to enhance their lives, to be able to get out in the world and interact with real people, to give them that confidence so they can do that and have a more well-rounded life versus just between you and a machine. I mean, that's the part we have to, I think, be there for people, encourage them to use it, but also be aware of what that could do for folks too.
Which is leading me to a question that I've had on my mind, and that is, if we think about our what we owe to future generations, or when we think about future generations, how can we ensure that future generations look back at this moment and see it as a more enlightened and connected era?
I think, again, it comes back to the us and how we're using it, and then how we're communicating about it, staying positive about it, seeing the light in it versus the darkness in it. Like, of course, we all know this, right? Any type of information you are ingesting all day, you're going to ingest that out, right? The garbage in, garbage out, saying that we've heard. So depending on who you are as a human being and where you are, I think it's again, putting the responsibility in each individual. And then now it's learning how to better communicate so that we encourage folks to use this in a way that is good. But I truly, right now, my perspective, and you can tell me from an astrological reason why I see it like this way so clearly, but I see it as light and amazingness and magic and connectivity and really good. But I know I'm alone in this space because so many people are scared. They're not commenting on my post because they're scared they're going to lose their jobs if they're working. They're scared they're not going to be hired if they say that they're working in it. I'm like, I don't care, because this is too great that I have to speak up about it and talk about it, because I see so much more good coming out of leveraging it than ignoring it or thinking it's going to hurt us. So to me, it's incredible. I mean, I look back, there was a video that was posted, and this is definitely my dad. He worked at IBM. This guy comes on, this is back in the 1970s, and he's talking about the big computers when IBM was first releasing, I remember.
I remember those.
Yeah. And he said something about people are going to be able to do all these things. And he's talking about the future. That's what I feel like I'm doing now. We're going to be laughed at probably in 5 years or 4 years versus how many years has that been now? 30 years, right? So I think that they're going to look back on this and see that as the evolution in a good way.
Beautiful. I have one last question, and that is, if someone were to start today, I'm sure that so many people listening to this are going to get on their computers or get on their phones and go on ChatGPT or try to find a way to dip their toes into AI, or if they're already using it to get more into it because of all that you've shared. What is one thing, or what are a couple of things that people can do to start working with it right away in their everyday lives?
I would say outline your pain point, like really just have a little you time, like you would do in a journal, right? And I don't know if folks are writing by hand still, or if they're typing things in, or you can speak it now. You can, depending on where you are and what you feel comfortable with, you can literally just brain dump into it. Say, here's what I'm struggling with. This is what I am dealing with. Please share with me step by step potential solutions or ways of thinking about this differently that can help get me through this. That alone, you will just do that and you'll be blown away what's going to come back in. It's pretty incredible. So anyone who isn't great at writing yet, you can just speak it. Anyone who, rather write, or I'm not sure if it could do this. People who like to handwrite stuff, I don't know if you could take a picture of it and upload it and read it. That might be, I haven't tried that, but they might be able to try it. But those are things. And the way I look at it overall is, think about AI as a flashlight in the dark. Like this came to me, this analogy. It doesn't tell you where to go, but it helps you see what's possible. So, and it's like using that wisely and let curiosity lead your way.
I love the analogy of the flashlight, that it doesn't tell you where to go. It shows you the way. I think that's so poignant. With Pluto and Aquarius, there is going to be a leveling of the playing field in terms of who has access to an audience, or who has access to power and who doesn't. And that's something we've seen historically. I mean, the last time Pluto was in Aquarius, it was the French Revolution, the American Revolution, and democracy arose from that time, bringing power to the people. And so I think this is another way that we're going to see that happening. And so I think that's one of the hopes with Pluto and Aquarius. I also think that as we discover new ways of working with technology, it's going to bring us into communities with people that we might not have ever connected with before. When Saturn was in Aquarius in the 90s, we had the start of chat rooms. Remember the and like message boards on AOL. And then when Saturn was in Aquarius in the just recently in 2020, everyone was going on to Zoom, and so we had people connecting through technology. And so I think that AI, that the Pluto's move into Aquarius is going to show us more of that kind of ability to bring communities together, and in ways that would have never been conceivable before. And I also think it's part of an overall shift in consciousness. It's a complete upgrade in terms of how we view ourselves, how we see ourselves in our places in the world. I think it's just going to expand us into finding more of a connection between the material, terrestrial aspect of our lives and the invisible, spiritual, intellectual aspect of our lives. And so I think it's a connector for sure. And I also do feel like there are some risks with it. One of the risks with Pluto and Aquarius is the possibility for us to get too much in our heads and lose that connection with our hearts. But I think that will balance out over the 20-year cycle that we're in.
I think that it comes back again to all of us checking in with ourselves, right? And making it, it's up to the individual to show up that way as their authentic self and being able to leverage these in the right way. But that all makes sense. And that's part, because you even mentioned too, right? Flying cars. knowing and going to the moon and Mars and all that. Now I see, oh my gosh, it's totally possible. We are absolutely going to see that in the next couple years because of how AI is going to allow us to get there, because we don't have to wait for other humans to share that information. That's why it's called open AI, so that we can all tap into that. Because this stuff has been around since the 70s, but they opened it up so that everybody could start leveraging it. Because I always thought, it was like, have aliens come visited? And is that why all of this is starting to happen right now? Right. But it's because all of this has been programmed and out there, and it's getting more powerful and being able to powerful in a way that everything has been created so that this can access and be in people's lives versus just the companies. And to be scalable, then that is going to be able to put it in our fingertips even more. I mean, we thought the phone was powerful in our hands. Can you imagine? Again, it's going to be so cool.
Do you know much about the environmental impact of AI and the energy that it takes?
Yeah, I saw you post or comments about it, and I didn't have a chance to do the deep dive into what I know enough about is the fact that if NVIDIA was able to create this device that is like the size of our computer, that doesn't take a huge, like the IBM computers that took up warehouses of space, it's all right there to be able to create it all. Just like our phones started out huge. It got small, right? I think the same is for this. We're at the beginning. It may take a little bit more energy right now if that's that one use case scenario. But as it evolves, I believe most folks are aware and mindful of this, whether they're in denial of it or not, or wherever they are with it. But I think that eventually it will get smaller and accessible. It's too magical and powerful in a good way for it not to be accessible for everybody. I think it's important. And hopefully all the folks who, just like we've been trying to get computers and devices in the hands of people that don't have the money to be able to afford them so they can have internet access. I mean, Elon's doing that with Starlink and all of that to make sure it gets in so people can educate themselves. Because again, everything is right in front of us. Wherever we want to learn, if you have an idea, all you have to do is be curious and then dive into it and learn it versus expecting somebody else to do it for you or learn it for you. And that's why it's another wonderful time, because we have even more tools to be able to do that. And we're still going to need the experts, the professors, the educators, all the folks, because if you don't have these years, like I wouldn't be able to get as far as I have with AI if I hadn't been living and breathing and marketing for over 20 years, as a creative director in this space. There's no way. So the combination of that experience and expertise mixed with all of these is like, elevating it to a whole nother level.
And it's also a good segue. I like to leave everybody with a cosmic call to action, something that they can do to integrate this discussion into their own everyday lives. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are about that cosmic call to action.
Well, I think the last thing I just said, just try it out. See whatever your biggest pain point or struggle or challenge. Or maybe you have something happen in your family that you just want to make better because we're all around. Or, hey, this is one of the posts I did, your last minute gift ideas. I need to figure out a gift for this person and I don't have a whole lot of money. You can make an experiential gift and say, this is what this is who this person is like. This is what they like. This is what I know. Help ask me questions to try to hone that in. What are some ideas to make it really a special holiday for them? So that could be something you could do too.
I'm totally going to do that. That's such a great suggestion. And I'm going to add one cosmic call to action, and that is follow your prompts on Instagram or LinkedIn, because I love these suggestions that you give for helping us to work with this technology in a way that is really fun. And that's like, I'm still going to say that word, the mind blowing. That's mind blowing. So you are consulting too, right? Is that right?
Yes. So yeah, I'm consulting. I'm consulting with 2 agencies right now, but I'm not linked into anybody. And the kind of what I'm seeing right now, and I'm open to anything. Like if someone hears this and wants to hire me to come in and consult, I can ramp up your team onto AI and figure out ways to integrate this in a way that's going to set everyone up for success. I can already see it. I've already figured out in so many ways for some other folks. So that's what I'm doing, number one. And if a company wants to hire me and keep all my secrets within their little world, and it's a good opportunity and something that I want to do, I'm open to that too. But right now, I got to say, the most important thing is because it's changing so rapidly and everything's happening so fast, I have to spend part of my day to fully ingest all the changes that are happening and figure out how then I can help anyone around me to amplify whatever they're doing to be better into the world. So that's kind of the balance that I'm trying to figure out right now. And the majority of posts right now, and I'm doing a countdown to 2025 on LinkedIn, and mostly I'm putting them on LinkedIn, and I'm doing something differently than most people do. Like, I'm not just sharing an image that's beautiful, because I actually don't have access to all the tools right now because it costs money to have them. I mean, if somebody invites me to use their tools for free as an influencer or a thought partner or a thought leader in it, I'm happy to do that. But right now, I'm just using the tools that are accessible. And I'm using ChatGPT mainly to figure out core essence of things, prompts. Because there's so much fear out there, the ones for this month have been all about eliminating the fear and exciting people about AI and seeing how easy and simple it is. Like the few that I've already shared, I've done one every day for the last 20 days.
Val, thank you so, so much for being on the show today. And thank you for sharing your wisdom and your knowledge. And it's going to be really exciting and thrilling to see where this all takes us.
Yeah, I agree. And thank you so much for having me, because we could talk for hours.
I know. We seriously could. We do sometimes.
Yeah, we do.